In the history of humanity, there are many stories of friendships that encourage each other. One is, for example, in the New Testament, the relationship between Barnabas and Mark. They were cousins. Mark was very timid, very weak. But then through the influence and the friendship of Barnabas, he became a great apostle and then wrote the gospel. Another one is a story of Lewis and Tolkien. Tolkien is the one with the pipe. Lewis is the other one. So Tolkien, who wrote The Lord of the Rings, and Lewis, who wrote, among many, the Chronicles of Narnia, were very good friends. For 30 years in England, they met every Thursday with other writers to share their writings. And in that group called the Inkling, Tolkien and Lewis, they were very much connected. And they influenced each other. Tolkien influenced Lewis in his journey towards Christianity. He would say that he's a Christian because of the faith of Tolkien, who was a Catholic. And also, Tolkien became a writer because of the influence, the encouragement of Lewis. Tolkien was a perfectionist. He will write his stories over and over again. Did that ever happen to you, that you do something and you want to improve it and you do it again and again? So that was Tolkien. So he could never publish a book because he always thought, this is not good. And it was the encouragement of Lewis that allowed him to move forward. Lewis was one who said, this is amazing. This story of the hobbits is amazing. Go publish it. All the other members of the group, they were tired of these elves and these stories that Tolkien was writing. When Lewis died, Tolkien said, the influence of C.S. Lewis was one of sheer encouragement. For 2 decades, he was my only audience. He was the one who helped me realize that my writings were not only a hobby. So it was the friendship of Lewis that brought the best out of Tolkien. No Lewis, no Tolkien. And this is a dynamic we see in history, and we see especially in the history of salvation. This good influence that comes through friendship. And more importantly, the good influence that comes through divine friendship. Lewis defines friendship as the instrument, the divine instrument that allow us to discover the beauty that is in us. Friendship is a divine instrument that allow us to discover the beauty that is in us. And in this gospel and in these readings today, we kind of highlight this element of divine friendship encouraging others to grow. In the first reading, Jeremiah encouraging the Jewish people in Babylon, they're without land, in exile, no future, no hope. Very discouraging situation. And Jeremiah brings hope. Shout with joy. God will bring you back. I will console you. So he says, don't be stuck. Don't despair. God is with you. There's a hope, a future. And more importantly, in the gospel, we have this story of Bartimaeus, who was also most likely very discouraged. The gospel says that at first he was sitting, begging, and blind. It couldn't be worse. He was sitting, begging, and blind. But in the end of the gospel, he's without the cloak, without begging, he can see, and he's following Jesus on the way. What happened in the middle? he encountered the divine friend. The divine friendship of Jesus influenced and brought the beauty that was hidden in him. If you remember in the Chronicles of Narnia, whenever the lion Aslan is walking or speaking with people, people feel alive. They walk away with him, in a sense, younger, with more life, with more joy. They feel like a divine energy flowing through him to them. I think that's what happened to Father Matthias. He has not changed. He looks the same than 10 years ago. He needs to go through St. Mary's, so he will catch up with me then. But that's what happened to Bartimaeus. Take courage. Get up. Jesus is calling you. Those words brought like a new energy. Take courage. Be encouraged. Your life matters, Bartimaeus. Jesus has a mission. For him, you are important. Don't stay there like dwelling, stuck in your despair. So it was this presence of Christ that lifted him up and encouraged him to walk and see and love and live in a new way. But very interesting, this divine friendship is channeled, is influenced in a human way. On one side, you have people in the crowd saying to Bartimaeus, stay there. As he's crying out, Jesus, Son of David. Some people are saying, no, stay there. Stay quiet. They are discouraging him. But someone in the crowd who noticed Bartimaeus and who was close to Jesus heard, call him. Jesus says, call him. So someone who was close to the mind and the heart of Jesus became an instrument of that divine friendship. And he went to Bartimaeus and said to him, take courage, get up. Jesus is calling you. Those words were like sacramental. They produced what they signify. They brought this life as they were pronounced because they were coming from the divine friend and bringing a new life to Bartimaeus. And I think that's what the gospel is inviting us to do. Not so much to seek encouragement, but to be encouragers. We need to be like Jeremiah for the people of God in Babylon. We need to be like Lewis for Tolkien. And we need to be like this person who from Jesus went to Bartimaeus to communicate this love and this friendship that Christ has for all of us. How can we be more encouraging to others? The Apostle Paul says that a prophet is someone who builds up, encourages, and consoles. So that's your homework for this week. Think of any Tolkien in your life, although there's only one Tolkien in whole history. Think of one Bartimaeus. Someone who is maybe down, discouraged, someone who maybe lost his or her job, someone who is insecure about his skills or her skills, someone who maybe lost passion in his mission, and so on and so forth. And try to remember these words of Paul. One, build up. To build up is to empower what is good in others. We usually don't see what is good in us because we are inside ourselves. We look outside, so it's difficult to see us. It's like we are like a car that is driving through Highway 34 during the day and the lights are on. You don't see the lights. If it is night, you see them. But you see the lights of those coming to you. And people driving towards you, hopefully on their lane, They see your lights. So we also need to be like that. We need to reflect the light that is in others and others don't see. That's what it means to build up. That's what Lewis did with Tolkien. He said, don't be so insecure. You're an amazing writer. Move forward. This is good in you. He assured, he highlighted the good that was in him. So build up what you see that is good in others, especially those who are close to you. In the second place, encourage. Encourage in what way? Encourage people in their mission. Bartimaeus received a new life through the divine friendship of Jesus because he experienced he had a mission. He experienced his life mattered. He experienced that his life made a difference. He experienced that he was not just there sitting on the way, forgotten, forsaken, unnoticed. The divine friendship of Jesus reminding him of his beauty and of his mission. And that's true of you and me and of everyone. No one here is an accident. Everyone is loved into creation and has a unique, specific, amazing, very important mission. And we need to be reminded of it over and over again. So encourage people in their mission. We tend to forget the value of what we do. Husbands, thank your wives. Wives, thank your husbands. Encourage people you see, even when you buy something through a drive-thru. Just thank them. Be an encourager. Be an instrument of the divine friend who gives a mission to each. And finally, console. Many people suffer greatly. And God is the God of consolation and encouragement. And He wants to send instruments of consolation, like Jeremiah in exile. So say words of consolation to those who maybe doubt the goodness of God. Remind them that God is with them, that God is good. But above all, be with them, walk with them. This person who encouraged Bartimaeus to go to Jesus, he not only spoke to him, he also went out of his way and walked with him. Think of this. Bartimaeus jumped, but he was still blind. How did he get to Jesus? Because this encourager walked him to the Lord. And that's what you need to do as well. Sometimes we don't need to say much. You need to walk with people who might be blind to the goodness of God and lead them to Christ.